Hello, I'm Karen Elgersma in Oak Bay, celebrating native plants. And you're watching Go Island on Shaw TV. On today's show, Paul Ballstein spends the day in Esquimalt at the Naval Officers Training Center. And Dan Kahn gets the buzz at Weatherspoon Farm. And James Green hangs out with some youth who are helping restore some very special habitat. All that and much more on Go Island.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
Hello and welcome to Go Island. This is one of my favorite times of year to go out for a hike and enjoy all the wildflowers and all the beauty that nature just gives us as a gift. And I am so stoked about this particular garden tour coming up, Todd, because it really is a unique opportunity for us to get up close and personal with our native plants, because it is the third annual Native Plant Garden Tour. Explain to everyone what this tour really is all about.
Well, thanks a lot, Karen. This is a tour of native plant gardens throughout the region, including the top 10 native plant gardens, both public and private. We're here today at Louise Goulet's garden in Oak Bay, and it's one of the best gardens because it's got elements of woodland as well as sunny and rock outcrop too. So we're highlighting the fact that we've got a rare and endangered ecosystem here, and the plants of that ecosystem are excellent for your garden.
Tell us why you have decided to put this tour on.
Well, we all are part of the solution for conservation. When we have Garry Oak ecosystems in small pockets of our urban area here in Victoria, we can be part of the solution by simply using our own private landscapes as part of the buffer for those natural areas like Beacon Hill Park and Mount Doug Park. This garden in particular has over 100 species, some that are extremely rare, which we count in individuals. So it's not only a beautiful garden, but it's educational too. We're
gonna meet the gardener that created this beautiful piece of heaven. And as you look behind me, yeah, I know your eyes are like, whoa! Well, my friends, there's more. We're gonna go to the backyard and check out all the other cool areas that have been planted, because like there's a shade area and very cool. But first, if you are a naval officer, you begin your journey by getting a university education, but it doesn't end there, my friends, no. Then there's 1 year of intense training. And our very own Paul Ballstein thought he'd drop in for a day to see what it's like. I'm actually with a very wise, knowledgeable, educated woman who has created, I feel like I'm in a regional park right now, Louise. This is like, I feel like I've just gone for a hike to Horth Hill or Bear Hill, but this is your yard. What made you decide to create a garden filled not only with native plants, and of course there's a beautiful stream here and rocks, but really you chose plants that not only native to us, but plants that needed to be saved, plants that we need to cherish. What was your vision behind this garden?
I worked for almost 3 years as the executive director for the Garry Oak Ecosystem Recovery Team. In a team like that, they basically try to help habitats that are in trouble.
Right.
And what I learned is that this kind of habitat is extremely rare. Most people who live in Victoria don't realize that, but this is the only place in Canada where we find Garry Oak habitats. And not only they are rare, they are endangered. Like here in the Capital Regional District, there's less than 1% left. And I decided I had 2 major priorities. The first one was conservation, to try to protect what's still there, but also public education.
Yeah.
And that's why I had this handbook for Garry Oak gardeners produced.
Yeah.
And in there it tells you how you can have some native plants, whether it's just a pot with a few bulbs or this kind of garden.
So people want to come on this garden tour. This will be one of the gardens on it. There'll be many others. They'll give you an opportunity to learn and see the beauty and get an opportunity to really, I always say when I go on these garden tours, I come back inspired. I want to go into my own garden and make a difference. So you can be part of it. We're going to tour a little bit more. We're going to go to the back because you have a whole area dedicated to the shade area. And we're also going to talk to Louise about some of the cool plants that are in here. But first, speaking of gardens and farms, there's a sweet story we have for you from the Cowichan Valley. Dan Kahn met with a farmer who became famous for the honey they produce, but now they're also producing local food. From farms in the Cowichan Valley to native gardens in beautiful Victoria, we have it all here on the West Coast. And if you want to learn more about our native plants, there is a native plant garden tour this Sunday, 1 to 4. Louise, you are a big part of this event. You are such a brilliant, not only keeper of our native plants, but you're such a good teacher. Tell me about some of the plants that you have in your garden here.
What I've tried to do is, don't know if you've seen the upland parks.
Yes.
But it's one of the premier area around Victoria for this type of Gary Oak meadow.
Yeah.
And I try to emulate what they have. And so when you look at the plants here, you have the common camas, and here we have the gray camas, which is a deeper color like this one.
Oh, beautiful.
And taller. We have the consumption plant, which has a big taproot, with really tough plants, but it was used by First Nation people for any kind of respiratory ailment.
Nice.
Moving on, we have the Western buttercup, which is not the one you have creeping in your lawn.
Okay.
Very different.
Very different.
Yes.
And what's the pink one there?
This one, all of the ones you just saw were perennial. They're there year after year.
Yeah.
But this little pink one is an annual.
Okay.
And this is the sea blush.
It's so pretty.
If you travel along the cliff on the Malahat,
Yes.
you'll see them.
Okay.
And what's really interesting, it doesn't really belong here, but we have a miner's lettuce.
Look at that.
And it's called miner's lettuce because when people first moved into BC, well, we didn't have Safeway with lettuce head, and it's just great to eat. It's very nice.
There was no Safeway here hundreds of years ago?
Some of the things that I have in my garden that are really characteristic of those meadows is native bunch grasses. This is a white shooting stars, and if you look through the garden, you will see pink ones everywhere, which
Yes.
are local. This one is normally found in much wetter habitat, but because I want this garden to be educational, this is a garden, not a restoration project. I will put things that people will not see elsewhere, that they will find interesting, and make them realize the diversity we have.
Look, we have a kitty cat,
And
which
we have our cat.
is also part of the garden. We have to take a very short break, but go nowhere. When we come back, we're going to meet a group of kids who are saving a habitat themselves, and more right here in this beautiful garden. Welcome back to Go Island. We have brought you to a little piece of paradise today because we are in a very special garden. It's not only celebrating our native plants here on South Vancouver Island, but it's done in a way that is not only educational, but it's truly a little oasis here, isn't it, Todd? And yes, you're all invited to come and see this garden as part of the garden tour on Sunday from 1 to 4. It's a great opportunity to get out there. Let's just remind everyone sort of the details around the garden tour before, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what's around here. But Todd, tell us what, if people want to come out on Sunday, how can they get information about where the gardens are and information about the plants?
Well, Karen, we have a free garden guide on the HAT website. If you go to hat.bc.ca, you can download the free guide that's got 10 gardens, some public, some private. This is a private garden. We've just seen the public meadow, the front public side of the house. This is a quiet side of the house, a little shadier, so we got different plants here. And what I've done with those 10 gardens in the tour is to try to give people a variety of different types of situation, conditions, have moisture regimes, and light so that they can see what they can do with their own backyard. So when you want to draw in wrens like that, choose get a mossy kind of cover of mulch, and also plant in the tall Oregon grape, the sword fern, huckleberries on a log perhaps, and you'll also find many ground covers like the bleeding heart. And further over here we also have an excellent choice for a landowner that's got cedar and other conifers. This will grow in a very tough situation. Dark, less of the rain coming down, you can grow this plant.
Speaking of restoration, there are a group of students that are doing a little restoration of their own. James Green met with them at Colquitt's Creek. It's so wonderful, Todd, to see students not only help restore a habitat, but to learn more about our natural habitat. And that's what you're all about, Todd, at HAT. And this garden tour on Sunday is such a fun way to learn. Tell us a little bit about what's behind us here.
Well, many homeowners have rock outcrops in the Victoria region.
Yes.
And they don't know what to do with them.
It's true.
Do they power wash everything off, or do they keep the native vegetation on?
Right.
And I say keep it, because there are such beautiful plants on rock outcrops.
Todd has some other cool things that HAT is putting on, and we're going to talk about it in just a moment. And This Week in BC takes a look at the BC government's absolute commitment to get more students in the trades. But the question is, do students want to go to college, or do they want to go to trade school? More on that right after the break. I simply can't think of a better thing to do on a Sunday afternoon than to tour through beautiful gardens. Tell us about what's happening at Swan Lake.
Swan Lake has their annual native plant sale. So if you like what you've seen at the Native Plant Gardens, go to the plant sale and help support Swan Lake Nature Sanctuary.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all that you do, Todd. You always teach me so much. I could just hang out with you all day. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you out enjoying the gardens this weekend.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Women's clothing provided by Tulip Noir. Casual designer fashions. Men's wardrobe by DG Bremner & Co. Menswear and accessories. Hair services provided by Salon J.